Hello and welcome back to Typical Labs. My name is Kai, and I hate democracy. As voted, today on Kai's Review Corner, we'll be taking a look at Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures by Telltale Games, a point-and-click adventure game that adds a bunch of characters to the Wallace and Gromit cinematic universe. This was released in 2009, over the span of 4 downloadable episodes for Windows and Xbox 360. Today I'm only taking a look at the first episode, Fright of the Bumblebees, but in the future, yeah, I could probably take a look at the others. Episode 3, Muzzled, is one of my favourites, and I actually played it back in the day on the Xbox 360. Now, unfortunately, if you Google this game in hopes of playing it, you'll be sorely disappointed, because on January 14th, 2014, the game was removed from Steam, GOG, and the Xbox 360 marketplace due to Telltale Games' license to use Wallace and Gromit expiring, and they didn't financially see the point of renewing it, making the game genuinely lost on the 360 unless you already bought it. And the same goes for the Steam and GOG versions on PC. If you're quick, there is a physical version of the game on PC that you can nab, but the copies are running out. I actually own a copy of episodes 3 and 4, and as it does not require a Steam key, if you find it used, you can still play it. Now, you might be wondering, Kai, how did you get episodes 1 and 2 if you only have 3 and 4 physically? Well, let's say if you DM me nicely on the Typical Labs Discord server, let's say I could let you borrow a copy. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Well, let's get started. Here we have a pretty bare bones menu. Clicking New Game will make Wallace emerge from the eternal darkness, and we are given 3 options. 1. I don't know how to breathe. 2. Let's get this show on the road. 3. Please let me escape this purgatory, I no longer wish to be part of this. Let's start with the tutorial. The gist of the tutorial is that Wallace has invented live streaming.
Here in West Wallaby Street without having to leave the comfort of their own homes.
But he has given up his free will, allowing us to control both him and his dog Gromit's every move. Even he doesn't sound so pleased about this. Here, we learn how to use the
Interacto-Vision mouse to choose characters and things you want to interact with.
and how to
Point at Gromit and click the left mouse button.
Basically, it's a tutorial for anyone above the age of 80. Gromit gets bullied by the automatic chess machine, and we move on to the main game. The game begins with a cinematic pan across the dining room, and an extremely dramatic title card. We control Gromit, and immediately Wallace beeps for breakfast. Being the epic gamer I am, I get distracted by every other object in the room. Good to know the porridge gun still works, I guess. I wanted to explore further, but I suppose I need to let Wallace down.
Where are you going, Gromit? Drop me down!
This reminds me of something. For 2009, this game actually looks pretty good, and has a decent attention to detail. I mean, if you zoom in on a character model, you'll find their fingerprints and lines are on their texture, just like the models are based off their stop-motion clay counterparts. Neat. We finally leave the room, only to be stopped by the world's most convenient postman. From the letters, we learn that 1. Wallace is in financial trouble. 2. Gromit is subscribed to Marrow Growers Monthly magazine. And 3. Wallace doesn't understand just keeping a pen on the table. Yoink!
Hey! That dog is getting a little too independent, if you ask me.
I accidentally select the lever, trying to leave,
I'm down already, Gromit.
and finally make it out of the dining room alive. So anyway, our task is to cook breakfast, which consists of eggs, toast, and honey. Well, I already got honey from getting distracted earlier, so it's just eggs and toast. Time to make some Never mind. Seems we have an infinite supply of bread, but the squirrel will steal it every single time. The solution? Shut the goddamn window? No, of course not. Waste a valuable stick of butter to make him slip up the next time he steals the toast. Well, toast acquired, I guess. Now for the eggs. But first a cuppa would be lovely. Never bloody mind. Instead of just cracking an egg onto the pan like a normal person, in typical Wallace and Gromit fashion, we use a Rube Goldberg machine to make a fried egg. Using the badger thingy we yoinked about 30 seconds ago, it works. Enjoy your eggs on toast, you greedy bastard. Interrupted by one of the new characters for this series, Mr. Pinner, Wallace proves to be rude yet again by interrupting nearly every single sentence that Mr. Pinner tries to communicate. And we also learn that Wallace's cheese sniffer ruined his shop yesterday and is in police custody. Like an idiot, Wallace agrees to somehow supplying 50 gallons of honey to him in one day, in exchange for good advertising of his honey business.
And what do you say? I say... yes! We're in business, lad!
For this section, and the foreseeable future, we now control Wallace. Wallace figures out that we need flowers to produce honey, and there's a nice Easter egg to a grand day out too.
There's the hatch from me rocket ship. Remember that moon holiday, Gromit?
Wallace goes back upstairs and tries to remember where flowers come from, when he gets more conveniently timed advertising come through his letterbox. I'd like to take a second to mention these controls are whack. You use WASD to move, but it seems like whenever the mouse goes over something, the character you're playing as just seems to do a dead stop. It's only a minor inconvenience, but it certainly doesn't help itself review score-wise when the basic walking controls barely function. Eventually, Wallace makes his way outside, where we meet another new face, Miss Flit, whose characteristic is that she loves flowers. Seems like the perfect person to ask if they could spare any flowers.
Want to feed my flowers to your bees?
That is, if you don't mind,
How many would you like?
as many as you can spare.
Oh, you can have all you want, Mr. Wallace.
Oh, much obliged.
Until she debates us.
Here, you can jolly well grow your own.
Righto.
Well, we will have some daisies in 2 to 3 months, until Wallace remembers that advertisement he picked up about 30 seconds ago. His hypothesis is that if he just copies the ingredients from this quick muscle grow formula, surely it would work on plants, right? He needs 3 ingredients: Grotein, Energites, and Strongium.
Who's got the grandest garden in West Wallaby Street?
Immediately stepping out into the world, we meet the best character in the game, Major Crumb. He's been having some horrible flashbacks recently, and has a premonition that there will be an air raid soon. He has proof that the enemy are on the move too. A snail that is in their shell in the middle of the day, whatever that means. He's also holding a case of emergency Grotein bar rations hostage, a key ingredient that we need to advance the plot, so I'll keep that in mind. He wants us to spread the word too. Let's try telling Miss Flit about it to start with, seeing as she's closest.
I realise this may seem a trifle irregular, but Major Crumb insisted I show you this. It's, oh.
A snail? In my garden?
Okay then. After politely asking him, we have the Grotein bar. But when we try to leave, he force feeds us the bloody thing. Though, if we give him a pair of dog tags and a quote-unquote helmet, he'll feel as if he is ready to go out onto the battlefield.
Good heavens! I shouldn't be skulking around in a cellar like a frightened rat. I'm a soldier by thunder. Private Gromit, I hereby appoint you officer commanding this air raid.
After saying that Private Gromit would be suitable to hand out the rations, he believes us and heads out onto the battlefield where he is killed by a landmine. Okay, maybe not. Heading back outside, we see that bloody squirrel again who nicked the only tea bag. Turns out that tea bag contains Strongium, another convenient ingredient. Earlier, I picked up some cold toast that materialised in the kitchen, and knowing his love for toast, he swaps it for the tea bag. Unfortunately, Wallace has a fatal case of butterfingers.
What are you looking for exactly?
Oof. Well, there's a lot of faffing to this solution, so let's summarise what needs to be done to get her to bend over. Step 1. Go to town centre. Step 2. Go to the newsagents and listen to Mrs. Gabberley's hateful marriage.
Now I hear.
Oh, you've heard the buzz, have you?
Oh, indeed I have. It's all over town.
It'll never get off the ground. Stupid idea, if you ask me.
And nobody dead.
Couldn't get honey out of a honey jar, that one.
Excuse my husband. He's a right misery gut sometimes.
Step 3. Look at the flowers on the windowsill, to which the yellow ones get broken immediately.
Notice the flowers on your window ledge, Mrs. Gabberley.
Aye, lovely, aren't they? Bring a touch of summer to the town square. Especially the purple pansies. Always been partial to pansies, me. You should see the flat. It's full of them.
They're blinking weeds, if you ask me. Can't abide them.
Oh, go and suck a lemon, you moaning ninny.
Step 4. Play an insult word game. The winning solution?
Hey,
What is it now?
go chew. A grub, you mild gentleman.
Hey! You do know how to wound a bloke, Winnie.
Step 5. Tell Miss Flit that her flowers have grown, to which she bends over, and no, she still doesn't see the tea bag.
Mother forgives you, you naughty little pansies. Sweet satisfaction, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, indeed. Very sweet.
2 down, 1 to go. Energides. According to Wallace, he used Energides to power his cheese sniffer 3000, which is now in police custody. Brilliant. As it only looks at cheese, in a genuinely clever puzzle sequence, we need to plant some Wensleydale in the police officer's hat, to which he doesn't notice, then bung some Gorgonzola in the corner to make it look like it's crying, and then tell it to search for some Rotterdam, to which there is none, making it shake its head conveniently.
Well, I'll be damned.
I got stuck on this puzzle for ages, but after completing it, I must say, I felt like a brain box. All 3 ingredients in hand, Wallace mixes the formula, is saved by Gromit, and uses it on the daisy seeds. Believe it or not, it actually works to a great extent.
Oh, my word. I think I'm going to faint.
Good. Harvesting and feeding the bees with the giant flowers, the 2 collect 50 gallons of honey and then some, solving their financial issues and planning a holiday in Blackpool.
Not enough left over for that little holiday we've been planning. This year, I fancy Blackpool. Oh,
Though of course, the game would be too short if it ended here, even for an episodic Telltale game. Major Crumb comes screaming from his garden about an air raid. He's actually right this time. A swarm of giant bees have come for some reason. Wallace is told to get out, as he is a civilian.
That's an order, Wallace. Private Gromit, kindly escort this civilian from the battle zone.
And now we control Gromit again. We now control a turret shooting section using the legendary porridge gun to shoot at bees. Unfortunately, the bees don't stay down and need to be trapped in order to be rendered useless. For the first bee, shoot the bin lid off, then shoot the bee when they are flying over the top of it.
Into the dustbin of history for you, my friend.
Then shoot at the tree to attract the squirrel,
Back in the air, blast it.
and then shoot the squirrel, who will jump on the fencing, launching the lid back onto the bin. Simple. For the second bee, shoot the shed door open, which will send out the iconic techno trousers. Then shoot the bee, which will land in the trousers.
Bed the bounder.
Then shoot the trousers to get it to move back into the shed.
That one, fly boy.
For the last bee, equip the garden gnome with a tennis racket beforehand. Then shoot the bee into the pond.
Bullseye.
Finally shoot the gnome to launch the bee into the squirrel's tree, where it's never seen again. Then Major Crumb passes out and is never seen again.
Blew 'em right out of the sky. That'll teach 'em. Meet you in the mess in 20...
Oh, did I mention the bees are having a party in the basement? This is kinda boring, so I'm just gonna quickly go over the solution to this too. Step 1. Acquire Wallace's cheese sniffer, remote control, and the Wensleydale he had on him. Step 2. Bin the bee sleeping upstairs to get the lullaby record he is listening to. Step 3. From the ground level, chuck it in the hatch from upstairs. Step 4. Go back down, use the remote to get the sniffer to come to you. Step 5. Go back upstairs, lob the Wensleydale from the hatch. Step 6. Go back down, somehow fit in the sniffer, and switch the records. Problem solved? Nope.
Had a
Wallace
twin
gets
or two
abducted by the
myself
queen
at
bee.
times, you know, but keep a cool head. That's my motto. Look your adversary square in the eye and never let yourself get carried away.
Now we get to the last section of the game, set on the world's longest stretch of empty road. We need to raise the ladder so that Wallace can safely come down, which we do, but fantastic, it's broken. Luckily, there's a chicken on the windshield which leaves a feather when wiped off. Now, what do you do with a feather? Tickle people, of course. This does actually create a genuinely funny line when you select to tickle Wallace instead of the bee.
It's lovely, Gromit. You can add it to your collection when we get home.
Tickling the bee gets Wallace down.
Back on Terra Firma.
But the bee is still after them, and now they go into the world's longest tunnel. I have noticed something genuinely good about this game, and it's the hint system. If you're spending far too long on a puzzle, an NPC will say something that drops a subtle hint to the solution, such as here, where the solution is to use the growth formula.
Fight fire with fire. That's what they always say. So why they'd say never know.
Or here, when the solution is to turn on the radio.
As if we didn't have troubles enough, I'm missing my favourite radio programme.
After shooting the queen with honey while she's laughing, she gets stuck in the tunnel, and it's all over, thank God.
Back to Gromit. Whew, cracking teamwork, lad.
Until the game finishes with a Seinfeld tear joke.
Gromit, I found the antidote to that pesky growth formula. Now we can finally cut our bee problem down to size. Though there is one small complication.
To be honest, this game isn't great. Plot is interesting, and would be a good Wallace and Gromit short film, but as a 2-hour point-and-click game, it has some glaring issues. One thing that I do love about this game is the new characters and voice acting. These characters would fit perfectly into the Wallace and Gromit world, and are voice acted magnificently. Ben Whitehead does a great impression of the irreplaceable Peter Sallis, and left some incredible outtakes. Thank you to Twitter user @Ben24x7 for finding these.
I'm gonna whoop his ass. Perhaps I should have reconsidered those Leslie those lesbians. Yeah, I'll have a break later. With a nice cup of tea. And some toast. And crank. No doubt they'll come to heel once they've a proper roof over their heads. I'm sure everyone will give generously at the fair this weekend. What the fuck weekend? What am I talking about? You really ate all of these pies? You fat bastard.
Seek it out and play it if you want, but I think you'd have just as good an experience if you just watched the playthrough of it on YouTube. But what did Barry think? Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures. More like, Wallace and Gromit's mediocre game, innit? It adds a lot of interesting characters and shite, but who gives a toss? It's not like Hardman are gonna look back on this 10 years later and put them in Wallace and Gromit Infinity War. It's just so fucking boring and repetitive, really. Just pick up some shite from the bedside cabinet, then use it in some overcomplicated puzzle. Now just repeat what I said 30 times, and you're beating the game. I'd give it 4.5 Clive Lungs out of 10, only because of the voice acting and new characters. Honestly, I'm kinda glad it got removed from Steam and GOG and the Xbox, because it's fucking shite. Hi, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the second episode. This video felt kind of rushed. I mean, I played through, wrote the script, and did the voiceover in just one day. So sorry if this wasn't as good as the last episode, but that's what happens when you try and review a subpar game for absolute ages. Anyway, it's that time again. Voting time. Do you like the improved voting screen? Wallace and Gromit got eliminated with the last episode, so now it's your choice again. So once again, your choices are Call of Duty World at War, a dark and fairly gory FPS that introduced the iconic Zombies mode, Jammer Lammy, the sequel to Parappa the Rapper, where you play guitar instead of rap, or ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove, a funky roguelike game where you must avoid the worst enemy of all, humanity. Votes are recorded when this video is 24 hours old. See you and take care.
Like